Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. One of the most exciting players on this Michigan roster heading into 2024, going to be senior running back Donovan Edwards. And, we've talked extensively about this Michigan running back room, and I think it starts with the amount of capable bodies that Michigan has in this running back room. My personal favorite being Kalel Mullings. I know a lot of y'all like Donovan Edwards. I know a lot of Michigan fans like running back Benjamin Hall as well. I want to take a film deep dive of Donovan Edwards and just talk about the strides that we've seen him make during his career at Michigan, the amount of different ways that he can get involved in this Michigan offense heading into 2024. And I think just a breakout year for Donovan Edwards going into his senior year, where you look at Donovan Edwards in the past, had a phenomenal sophomore season, averaged over 7 yards per carry, has struggled with injuries at time, has struggled with just not getting the football enough during games when you have a running back like Blake Corum in the backfield for Donovan Edwards' tenure. I think this is going to be Donovan Edwards' backfield heading into 2024. I think he's going to get a lot more opportunity to have the football in his hands. I want to take a deep dive and talk about how Donovan Edwards truly breaks out in the 2024 year. Really excited to get into it. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Michigan fans. Many of you guys know I'm a massive Michigan fan. It has been a blast talking this program, specifically on the recruiting trail the last couple of weeks. The amount of Michigan support you guys have shown the boys, all the Go Blues in the comments section, that stuff means the absolute world. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Film deep dive on two of the more underrated players across the country going next week, Josiah Stewart, Derek Moore. But without further ado, let's get into Donovan Edwards and let's talk a little bit about what we saw in the 2023 season, where I think you would kind of label it inconsistent. You saw Donovan Edwards make game-changing plays for this Michigan program in a multitude of different massive spots, right? You look at the Washington game, two massive runs to essentially win that football game for Michigan. You go back to the Penn State game earlier in the year, couple of big plays there as well. And even going back to 2022 with Donovan Edwards at Ohio State, Donovan Edwards has been one of those players that, again, doesn't get all the attention because you have J.J. McCarthy, you have Blake Corum, has been one of those players that in key moments has come up with massive plays for this Michigan offense. And I think what excites Michigan fans the most heading into 2024, he's going to have more opportunity to make those game-changing plays. I think what excites Michigan fans the most about Donovan Edwards is he is truly a running back that can change a game with one single carry. And as much as we all loved Blake Corum, a guy that as consistent as it gets between the tackles, keeping this Michigan offense on schedule, probably didn't have that game-breaking ability that Donovan Edwards had. And we've talked extensively about Michigan creating more explosive plays on the offensive side of the football. More touches for Donovan Edwards is certainly going to lead to that. Now, I want to get into, I think, the strides that we've seen Donovan Edwards make and really how he breaks out in the 2024 year. And I think you first want to talk about just the big plays. And I think you look no further than some of the film against Washington where you saw Donovan Edwards have that good vision and attack the line of scrimmage. You rolled this play out right here. I mean, Donovan Edwards getting the football. And one of the things that we've really seen Donovan Edwards struggle with in the past is the vision and attacking the line of scrimmage, maybe dancing a little bit too much in the backfield. You saw Donovan Edwards start to be a little bit more aggressive, attacking the line of scrimmage and identifying where he wants to go with the football. Right here, you see a nice cutback lane by this Michigan offensive line. And what's so special about Donovan Edwards is when he does get that lane, he's a guy that if you take a bad angle like this linebacker at number 11 is doing, he's going to run right by it. He is pretty much just shot out of a cannon right here. He has that acceleration that, again, Blake Corum probably didn't have. And you continue to watch this play out one, just absolutely turns it on, runs right back that right by that linebacker, and for a touchdown on Michigan. Again, I think in previous seasons for Donovan Edwards, you've seen him dance a little bit, not have that clean vision, which all is going to come with more experience. How do you get better feel at the running back spot? You get more opportunities. I think Donovan Edwards is going to continue to get better in this department as we go to 2024. But again, you love to see him, hey, we're going to attack the line of scrimmage, one cut, and then when we have our lane, we are going to go right out of a cannon, run past the linebacker, and go win a football game for Michigan on the offensive side of the football. Again, You talk about one problem Michigan has had on the offensive side of the football, manufacturing some of those explosive plays. Donovan Edwards can do that in a multitude of different ways. Now, I think the biggest thing you want to see Donovan Edwards do a little bit better, and what made Blake Corum, at least in my mind, so special is Blake Corum kept this Michigan offense on schedule. You talk about attacking the line of scrimmage, turning a 3-yard run into a 5-yard run, turning a 3rd and 3 into a 3rd and 1. That was Blake Corum. And I think you look at Donovan Edwards and say, if you're going to be an all-purpose back for Michigan, if you're going to have 200-plus carries, you want to see Donovan Edwards excel a little bit more in terms of being that running back that can find you some of those hidden yards. We all know Donovan Edwards can give those explosive plays that we just saw. That's by far his best attribute as a ball carrier. But if he's going to be the staple in this Michigan offense, you want to see him get downfield a little bit more. And you go to the spring game in 2024, and I don't mean to read too much into a spring game. This is what has me fired up about Donovan Edwards. One, you're going to see Marlon Klein on the inline tight end. We'd have conversations about him breaking out. One, really good double team, working up to the second level. But you look at Donovan Edwards, I mean, operating in those phone booth situations, attacking the line of scrimmage. I think in previous years, this might be a 2 or 3 yard run where Donovan Edwards isn't really getting downhill. You'll look at this play in the spring game. Hey, we are attacking the line of scrimmage. We are working through contact and turning a 2 or 3 yard run into a first down carry. Again, you go back, one of the things that Donovan Edwards just really struggled with was dealing with contact. In the 2023 season, 2.67 yards after contact. In comparison, Kalel Mullings had over 4 yards after contact per carry. You want to see Donovan Edwards deal with contact a little bit better and deal between the tackles a little bit more effectively. And in the spring game, you saw a multitude of different plays. Again, Marlon Klein, double team, working to the linebacker, kind of sealing Donovan Edwards with this little hole. And again, Donovan Edwards running with low pads, dealing with contact. You go to another spring game rep, very, very similar thing. I think in the past, we've seen Donovan Edwards do a lot of dancing, a lot of east and west type stuff, attacking the line of scrimmage. When it is time to get downhill, Donovan Edwards is getting downhill. He's working off contact. And again, making those 5 or 6 yard carries, going for first downs. I think that's what excites you the most about Donovan Edwards. And I think the last thing you got to talk about is just being a weapon. And I think this Michigan offense is going to look a little bit different with potentially a guy like Alex Orji running the show on offense. Donovan Edwards can get used in so many different ways. And when you have a running back that not only can be a dynamic ball carrier out of the backfield, but a legitimate pass catching threat, it opens up so many different ways that you can get 2 running backs on the field. You can motion Donovan Edwards out to the boundary and find some mismatches. You go back to that Purdue game where, again, they motioned Donovan Edwards out to the boundary, forcing a Purdue defense that's going to be in man coverage with the single high safety to have a linebacker go out and work against Donovan Edwards. And I mean, that is J.J. McCarthy knows this the whole way. He sees this linebacker following Donovan Edwards out to the boundary. He sees that we're dealing with the single high safety. Every single time this is going to Donovan Edwards. He knows it right from the snap. J.J. McCarthy throws a beautiful ball. Donovan Edwards beats the linebacker by 5+ yards. Donovan Edwards is a guy that then we take that for granted. Running backs working 40+ yards down the field, catching a football. You don't see a lot of running backs do that. Donovan Edwards can be one of those guys. And again, it can look a lot of different ways. You can motion him out, have a linebacker follow him. Again, J.J. McCarthy just serving up an absolute dime. But there are other ways that we can get Donovan Edwards involved. You take a look at this play, having him work as a boundary wide receiver. We're going to motion him out to the flat and just get him in space. You talk about how can we make Alex Orji as comfortable as a quarterback in this Michigan offense, giving Alex Orji these kind of throws where you're getting Donovan Edwards in space, doing a little traffic. Michigan loved this concept in 2023 where we're kind of creating some traffic with these wide receivers right here and then just leaking Donovan Edwards out into space. Easy throw for Alex Orji. You get Donovan Edwards the football, you get a 50+ yard gain from just a very routine throw for Alex Orji. I think what excites me the most is, one, Donovan Edwards is going to get a lot more carries and a lot more opportunities than he has the first 3 years at Michigan just because Blake Corum is moving on to the NFL. I think, secondly, he's only going to get better. And it does feel like this has been the first healthy offseason for Donovan Edwards. You look back at the last couple of years for Don, I mean, dealing with the hand injury, dealing with a few lower body injuries, being held out of some sort of spring practice and fall camp for at least a couple of different seasons. You look at Donovan Edwards going into year 4, he is fully healthy, a full go in the spring game. He's going to be a full go in fall camp. And then he's going to have a lot more opportunities to kind of get comfortable running downhill and being a down-to-down ball carrier. The more times Donovan Edwards touches the football, the better chances you have of hitting those game-changing explosive plays on offense. And if Donovan Edwards can find a little bit more consistency operating between the tackles, you're looking at a running back that's one of the best in the conference and in the country heading into 2024. And we all kind of expect Alex Orji to be the guy at the quarterback spot, which means we are going to have a lot of run-heavy concepts. Get Donovan Edwards the football in a lot of different ways. And if you can do that, you can give him opportunities in space. This is going to be a Michigan offense that can manufacture a lot of explosive plays through running back Donovan Edwards. And again, we have a lot of different running backs that can tote the rock, right? Khalil Mulling's coming back, probably more of your bruiser between the tackle, especially in short yardage situations. And then I see Donovan Edwards as a guy that's going to get 15-plus carries a game from the backfield. How many times can we get him in space? Motion him out wide, working on linebackers as a pass catcher, leaking him out into the flat, giving him some end arounds. I think this is one of those guys that you just want to find different ways that you can get him involved in this Michigan offense. And if you can do that, you can get him 20 touches per game. I mean, you're going to have 3 or 4 of those plays. Go for some big chunk plays. You can find that explosiveness that Michigan's been kind of looking for on the offensive side of the football. I'll look at Donnie Edwards and say, this could be a true difference maker for Michigan in 2024. Has been really good his first couple of years. I think this can be his best year yet. He's put on a little bit more weight, 261, 210. He certainly looks it in some of those press conferences. Fired up for Donovan Edwards. Next week, we got Derek Moore, Josiah Stewart. Fired up to get into that one. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And if y'all have any other players that we should be looking at during this offseason, we'd love to hear it in the comments section. Appreciate you guys rocking with it, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.